Yeah, we figured out what was wrong. I had the direct monitor off on the Focusrite. I moved it. Yeah, and I clicked the button by accident. So, we got a live stream. It's now it was 5:43 start time. Session title. What are we going to call this one? Oh, yeah. Second track of the album, right? We need to start tracking some things. Coming up with some ideas. I need to tune Grace too as well. Session title. South Side. Southside hook development. If you can't grab the listener in the first 7 seconds, they're not going to want to listen to your album. So don't try to make crappy music. Go at it with some sort of idea. You have to have some starting point, an origin point, guys. Right? It's where everything starts. It's how the looper gets its BPM. You can base everything else you hear off of it. It's the BPM. Right? Your metronome. Boop, boop, boop. Beep, boop, boop, boop. Yeah. So music has a timing. I never liked click tracks when I was playing. I was like Dave Grohl from Nirvana. I never liked click tracks. They just, I'm too ADD. It was like trying to listen to two things at once and play at the same time, and it's just you can't do it. You know? That's why it was hard for me to sing and play at the same time. Now I sing inside of my head while I'm making loops. Sometimes I'll do a melody or whatever, outside of my head, but it's not often that I do. So I, come up with stuff that way by singing, by using my voice. Okay, sorry about being silent. I sometimes do this because I'm heavy thinking. Um, yeah, so we have an NPC, right? Right? And we keep sampling stuff, you know? I wanted to have an 808, you know, because Southside, they're real big on systems. I saw this one guy's car, right? He's got a hoopty, like an old style hoopty. And this hoopty is so old, it's probably in the 80s, I'm pretty sure. It's loud. Dude's trunk rattles. It's like, come on, man. You got a nice hoopty with big rims on it, dude. You don't have enough money to buy acoustic treatment? What are you listening to? Your trunk rattle or your speaker in the back of your car? For real. Get with it. I have a shitty monitor speaker that's right below me, purely just based on the fact that I need to hear my voice and make sure and check things. Yeah, it helps me to feel my bass in my voice. It helps me to control what I'm saying and the output of the room and playing things loud, and sometimes just listening to music is really important. I can't do that on YouTube. They won't let you unless it's copyright free. So a lot of music that's made by my buddy Joe Bagale, or Joey Bagels, aka Otis McDonald's, is copyright free. If I'm streaming on YouTube, there's no break in the license. There's no break in the license. However, if I post a video that I've done on Facebook, they say You know, so you got to watch where you're posting stuff. Mixcloud is known for, you know, allowing DJs to do whatever they want. Twitch has a DJ program that you can opt into, and you can't record or something. You can't record your streams. So there are things that you can and cannot do legally as far as the music business goes. You don't want to use copyrighted music. You don't want to do that. However, sometimes people put out music so much, they don't have the time to copyright everything. And if they did, they weren't paying attention anyways. If you don't have a huge following, you're pretty much safe, you know, unless the YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're posting it has that scanning software, that scans software for known songs. So there's like this library that they have that they bash your music up against to test to see if it sounds like whatever you're playing. Yeah, that's why you get muted. I get muted a lot because I forget the fact that my stuff is copyrighted. Yeah, I did it for 51 minutes. I got muted on my video on Facebook because all of the music that I was playing, it was like a listening party, right? And I didn't clear it. I didn't clear my own music for release that way. So DistroKids wouldn't allow me to do that, I don't think. So that's why, you know, they tested it and they said, nope, this is G.Bennett music stuff, even though it's G.Bennett. Or I posted it under Glenn, right? and it was G.Bennett stuff. Does that make sense? So there's this, like, you know, divider line between it. I still haven't till this day figured out how I get the topic channel on YouTube. If anybody knows how to take the songs that I've released on DistroKid from the topic page back to my page, let me know, because I used the fixer that's on DistroKid and I couldn't figure it out. Yeah. So session notes are always going to be titled with a Sharpie. I feel very confident about that. So we're going to do that. All right, it's 5:53. We're wasting time here. We were talking to Val earlier about release dates. Guess what release date it's going to be? Tax day. Yeah, we have enough songs to release on tax day. Yeah, that gives me what, 31 days, she said? What was it, 31 days? Hey, Val, it was 31 days until the drop of the album, correct? Why? It won't let me do it. Do it. Can you hear me, Val? Val. She is being a bitch. All right. Yeah. We're going to test something out here. We're going to use Sinister because I wanted round 2 to get focused with this. We're going to use Sinister. that's how we do it, guys. All right, so we played it from my phone into the Bluetooth, into the microphone. Sampler, used the sample chops, then we put it on the looper. Did you see what I did? So it's a whole nother world. And I just use the parts of the song that I like. Right? That's why you chop it up, right? So you have less of a tail. Like if a snake came by me right now, I'd be like, yeah! Cut its face off with my fingernails. The BPM is 50.7. So if I use any of the effects on this, which I want to, it's a slicer. Sometimes you want to leave spaces. Right? It sounds like a clock. Clock. Click. Tick. 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 She's listening to some of the funkiest music I've ever heard. It's like 80s music. Dun, 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 dun. I need to learn how to get Ableton up, man. It's bothering me that I can't do it. Check. Hello. One time only sale. Yeah. Okay. This is how we're gonna start the track, right? We're gonna go mute me on the microphone first, because I don't want any feedback. All right? I know it sounds funky. I hope you guys can hear it. You probably can. I'm monitoring on the software as well, so I don't know why it picks it up so loud. It doesn't make any sense. The meters don't, when you look at them together, look at this. This is crazy. All right, I'll bring up Ableton. Oh, it's over. Dang it. No, I don't want 2 instances of Ableton. There we go. Look at, okay. So we're gonna make the meters roughly the same size. Look at how far behind it is and how much louder it is, it seems like. It's almost clipping. Yeah, it's almost clipping. So I think if I turn the monitor speaker off, right, I can still hear you in my headphones, but it's not going to pick up, it's not going to sound funky. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. You know, it's funny when you turn the direct monitor off and then you're monitoring on Ableton, delayed. So my voice is always like behind milliseconds. I think it's 23 milliseconds is what it is, which is not that bad. You can work with that. You know, it's not, it's made to be that way. If you want a high end, you know, zero latency, there's plugins that do that, right? It's serious. I mean, you're paying good money for stuff like that. Rack mounted stuff. You know what I mean? Neve console. Rupert Neve was a bomb. He was one of the best analog what was it? Console makers. Yeah, he made the best console. He was like the Jedi master. And everybody followed suit. And then a lot of the Asian manufacturers and Korean manufacturers, or wherever they were making this electronic equipment, followed his footsteps until Pro Tools came out. Click, 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 click. And the music industry changed overnight. Yes, because people could make way more music than they could before. It wasn't limited anymore by tape. You had to pay for tape. So getting a record deal nowadays is not as hard. It's not as significant. When you got a record deal prior to this, right? Let me turn this off. Prior to this, it was because you had skill. It wasn't because, you know what I mean? Like, you think about Slash from Guns N' Roses. I was talking about this, I think this morning. His engineer guy likes Mogami cables. He had talent. His fingers were so strong and made for the guitar. It was my fingers are actually a little bit bigger. I think my fingers are more made for a piano. I just can't play all the notes all at once. I just can't do it. My ADD mind doesn't allow me to do it. And it's not that I can't. I have better hearing than anything else. Sonically, I know how to like put stuff in the right way. If you notice my songs, yeah, they all have a very soothing effect, even if they sound sad or if they have this or whatnot. I want it to be pleasing to the ears. It's got to be pleasing to my ears before I put it out. You know? There has to be something significant about it, or it's not an art piece. It's not a piece of music that I need to focus on. So get with it. First rule, we're going to talk about this. First rule of Loopology is ownership. Own your space. Own where you're at. To the left, in front, to the right, behind you. Own the whole space in that circle. Be present in that circle. So I'm like hovering and brooding over my monitor speaker. Like, yes. You know, like humping it. You know, I do that for a reason, so it helps me to remain present in the mix. Like, I'm in the mix. It's right on top of me. Now, a friend of mine gave me this idea, and I talked to him last night. He's one of my best friends ever. It was the Glenn and Len show. Glenn and Len. And sometimes people would mess up our names. What, your name, Glenn? Or is your name? Yeah. So I think that happened a few times. I'm like, dude, no. Len's over there, dude. Get it right. But he told me, or he did something at a dance that was like really interesting. Nirvana was playing. Smells Like Teen Spirit comes on. He loves Nirvana. We loved Nirvana back in the day. I still do. I think, like I said, Sound City, where they made that album, where David Grohl's studio is now. He has the Neve console. Saw this video about that It's called Sound City. You got to watch the movie. Anyways, they talk about this place. And it was a really special studio, right? It was just special. And, you know, there are special places to make music. You can walk into certain studios and it's like, oh my God, dude, yeah. There's space in here. Finally. You know, I'm craving to have a bigger room. You know, it's only 118 inches this way and this way. That means I have 11.4% of my house I could deduct, right, for expenses, for your home office expense. Because I'm basically using the whole space. Yeah. I mean, records, right? Thinking and creative process, performance, live streaming, right? The floor is used for cables. I can't. It's like I'm being attacked by a lot of snakes every day. Get used to it, because it's going to happen. I swear to God, I keep talking about snakes. What? Oh. Grace's keyboard fell out. You fell out, girl. There you go. Get it. Baby. Yes. All right, so we got like that double. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so we've got this going into the MPC or the Voss RC 505 MK1. This looper here, we're gonna get both of them running at the same time. We just have to start and stop it at the same time, right? It has to be specific, you know. The MK1 doesn't do what the MK2 does. This one has a lot more. It's like the bigger, the granddaddy. He's been around a lot longer, right? He's got more features, more hair. And this one over here is real quick about stuff and knows. In when you're scrolling and you're scrolling the effects, it's like one knob. It makes it real simple, like a DJ. You know, to fine tune effects. That's why I chose to use this. I don't use the loop tracking of the MK1 typically. I use the effects of the MK1. You know, so it brings the nostalgia into the MK2. So I'm bringing it all back around. You know, it goes through the whole chain from the MPC, right? 1, 2, Focusrite, out of the Focusrite back into the MPC. That's why it has 2 cables. I came up with a coined phrase that scientifically and educationally would define what I did with my equipment. I made a circle, like doing Enzo. Talk about it with the they would meditate, keep their eyes shut and try to draw perfect circles with pen and ink. I don't know how they did it. There was a real specific way that they did it. It was very spiritual. I think samurais used to do it. I think it's Japanese. But having that circle, that idea was, what I wanted. So when I got the MK2, I was just like, yes! I got more inputs! I got more of this! I got more effects! I got bigger faders, bigger buttons, and everything's brand new. And I'm just like, yeah, wow, that's a big chunk of money to be spending. But for what it's worth, dude, it's giving me already more than I could deserve all day. So what I spent on it didn't even matter. Hey, it doesn't. Yep. Same with the MPC 1 Plus. I went with Machine prior to this. Let me stand up for a minute. I went with Machine. Okay. The Machine, I think 3. MK3, I think it was. So I had an MK1, MK2, and an MK3 by Machine. And I returned it. I sent it back to Sweetwater, like, fuck off. Because it was more DAW oriented than the MPC is. The MPC is standalone. Stands alone. Like an instrument. And it should. All right. Jay Dilla, I think he used to take records. A lot of these guys with MPCs would take records, play the record, and capture it on the MPC, and then slice it up and make tracks that way. They used to take samples, So we could do that now too. We could just go on somebody's Facebook page, and be like, hey, I like your track. Boom, cut it. Loop it. Do it right now. And it would be great. I need to take a break. So we're going to pause. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to think about where we're going next with this. I think we're going to actually load up the MK1 and then make a track that congruently takes looping, relooping, the stack and chop method of improvisation, right? Takes the amp and the Bluetooth mic system, remiking system that I've got going on. That idea. Then we're gonna make an MPC track. So we're just gonna keep going around in circles until we get what we want. Until we get the sound we want. Now, gain staging is so important for this, guys, because each time you go, you got to keep checking your levels, or it's just going to get more distorted as you go along. All right, break time. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Yeah. Taxes. We're going to talk about taxes. I want to give you guys a little bit of heads up. All right. So we're going to go on a little break. A little intermission. Signing off. Hey guys. Yeah, so I needed to take a little bit of a break. It's not easy. Yeah. So, uncensored recovery. I did a podcast episode using Riverside FM. Was invited by a great person. Her name is Annabella. She is a part of my church family. I met her. She originally grew up in Arizona. Don't know how she got to Statesville. Same here. I was in New York and came to Statesville. So it was really interesting though, because we both have sober stories. And she's like, I've got a podcast. Would you want to, be on it? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Boom. Let me tell my story. Yeah, I wanted to, because it was important to me to be there for somebody else who needs recovery, and to not be alone in this world of this dark world when it comes to drugs and alcohol. So I wanted to tell my story, and it's going to be an interesting one. It's one of understanding, one of resilience, one of a journey, one of a reconciliation, one that I'm proud of, and the story I'm proud of. The podcast I'm proud of. I think it's like 39 minutes long or so, maybe a little longer than that, but it's not bad. Good chemistry. As far as our conversation goes, and I really wanted to give back in a deep way when it comes to sobriety. So, cheers to episode 1. Hopefully, Annabella will be on my live stream at some point after 7. She said, not tonight, but at some point she'll be on the show. And yeah, so we're gonna do that. We may do like a video chat, and I'll share my screen. I think we could do that on Facebook. Yeah, that'd be cool. So you guys can see her face and hear her through the live stream and all that. It would be kind of cool to have her kind of pop up and be on there. So I'm thinking of ways to actually do that as far as podcasting and all of that. So I created a podcast on YouTube, put it in a playlist. I got courses, I got this, that, whatever. Just keep going, don't stop. So where did we leave off? I have no idea. We have a session that we're in right now to create a clip, if you will, from the album 9, okay? And we were going to reloop it. We were going to remic it. We were going to slice it up, or chop it up, excuse me. We were going to stack it. We were going to loop it again and then stack it and kind of keep kicking it back and forth through the loop system. It's a laboratory, guys. That's what this is. It's a sound laboratory. Gives you an idea of what it's like to actually go through the circle and particles, if you will, of sound smashed together on these tracks. And it's an interesting ride, guys. So Loopology, yes, trademark coming soon. I'm gonna have a $550 write-off in my taxes. Bam, and I'm gonna own the mark. Let's go for 6 different sections, and it's mainly live streaming and music production and sound design, and it's going to stand for a lot of my life and what I've developed. So yeah, with deep inspiration from my close friends, you know what I mean? Those that are really talented gave me some ideas, and I developed it. So we're gonna go and have some of this tea. I got tea. It's I'm drinking it out of one of those ball jars, you know, and mason jars. You know, I like it. Country. Why does everybody drink? Give me an answer to this in the chat if you want to. Why does everybody drink sweet tea? What is it about sweet tea down south that people like so much? Why isn't it like that up north? People like Starbucks up north, and when they get it, they gotta be real, you know, anal retentive about what they get in their drink. I want this, no music, no fat, boom, and you know, it's like, dude, what do you want? You want air? Here you go. Froth. Yeah, I don't like foam in my coffee. You can fuck off. Get out of my shit. Don't froth anything. I don't want it frothed. No frothing at all. You cannot froth gdotbennettmusic's coffee. I drink it black, so take it back. Like, no, you can't do it like that. Not for me. Nope. So I get 3 blonde. This is my drink. 3 blonde shots, venti, blonde on roast. It's got to be light and heavy octane. 3 shots is enough, dude, to make you jittery and real focused. You know, 4 shots, you're like, whoa! It's too much caffeine for me. Caffeine's not good for me. Sometimes I think I have, you know, a big heart. You know, my blood flows differently than it used to. You know, because of all the drinking and the drugging and all of that stuff. It was bad. It was really bad in my life. You know, and I got sober, man, and I learned what it's like to G-check yourself and be a man and suck it up. Suck it up. Just keep going. Push, push, push. You know what I mean? Get the job. Keep the job. Work hard. You don't care about what everybody else is doing. Do you, and do it strong. Sneak up on the world every day. That's what I say. You don't like my energy, you can fuck off. I don't care. Excuse my French. But I have a lot of energy, and I'm like that normally. Even without caffeine, right? I have a caffeine addiction. I didn't replace it. It's not, you know, alcohol replaced it. It's just better for me as far as the way that my heart and my mind work, you know? So, yeah, caffeine's ADHD's friend. It clicks better. I can hear more, put it that way, you know? Yeah, auditory processing problem, guys. Yep. So looping has helped me to actually hear better. Repetitive nature of music. Let me get into the deep science and psychology of it. Repetitive sounds can be very soothing or can be very harsh, like a weapon. Okay, so they use loud speakers too as weapons in the military to like freak people out that they're raiding. You know what I mean? Yeah, they use it in interrogation techniques too as well. To keep him up, keep him bothered. You know what I mean? Until he tells us what we need to know. You know what I mean? So music has been used as a weapon, and it's also been used the opposite way. I use it the opposite way. So hearing things repetitively over and over again has, in my sobriety, in my story, has changed my life. This system of music has changed how my mind works. Yep. It changes how I talk. It changes how I respond to things. It changes how I love people. It lit a light up in me. And I realized, like, okay, I can get stronger. Music has always been, I didn't understand it, though. I didn't understand why I needed to play the same notes over and over and over again. or play a track or a lick or something like that on a guitar and try to really play it good, you know? Never wanted to perform in front of anybody. I never really did that. Never was a part of a band. But I performed with people, just not in front of a crowd, you know? I'm going to do that at some point here, guys. Yeah. We got to take it out there and just do it. I don't care if you don't like it. It may not be for you, and that's okay. Plenty of people have things in their lives, right, that come across and they don't like. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna worry about it. Yeah, the haters can hate. Let them hate. It gives me more fuel. You know, it really does. So I hope you guys like the podcast, though. That's gonna be really good. Yeah, we did a lot of some deep digging. You know, wanted to dive into it, dude, and really give my story and I shared it with somebody who is really about this life and wants to make sure that she's on point as far as sobriety goes. And so her podcast was like a G check. I call it a G check, right? And it made me feel like a superhero after. The reason is because I had been through so much. Telling my story, if it helps somebody, it's a resilience thing. How I went from having one outfit, homeless in a mental hospital, drugged out of my mind, right? Getting off of alcohol, having problems with my stomach, right? Having problems with my physical nature about myself, my mind, how that worked. All the connections weren't right. You know, I was depressed. I went through trauma. I went through unforgiveness and darkness, and I had to do one thing. I had to put my hand on the handle, open the door, walk through the door, and shut the door. And that's what changed my life. That was the moment I chose to be sober. Yeah. I don't remember exactly where it was, but there was a door, and I walked through that door, and I was a changed person. I think it was because I really prayed hard. I was like, God, please take this away from me. I drink so much. I'm so depressed all the time, and I can't get away from it. I can't do anything else because I'm so bored all the time. I can't hold a job down because I'm drinking all the time. I never have any money. I'm always shelling out to Four Loko my pennies so that I can get drunk fast, come down hard, you know? Whiskey bottles everywhere, dude. Oh my God. It was bad. I could tell you guys more about my story, but it's not going to help you. That's not what this channel is about. But we're going to plug that. I hope she makes some money off of it. I hope she, starts a nonprofit organization, for recovery services. I hope she does that. That's what I think she's going to school for. I think it's her name's Annabella. Sutherland, I think is her last name. Look her up. Yeah, she's a great person, part of my church. Christ Church Worship. Let's go. They were so good today, guys. Yeah, I really I loved listening to them. I sat in a different spot. I sat with some old people, rather than where I was before in the middle. I didn't like it though, because I couldn't pay attention enough. I need to be where the speakers have a sound source. I need to be right where the sweet spot is. You know what I mean? In the theater or wherever it is. I need to be like right in the center between the two speakers, Being a engineering guru, if you I would call myself a superhero. an engineering superhero. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty full of myself for saying that, but it's the truth. I'm different now. I have more powers, and yeah, I can like boop your brains out, and boo 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 boo, and make loops that possibly can help somebody. If you have bipolar disorder, right, you have this constant nature about yourself that's a roller coaster, up and down, and up and down, up and down. Music helps to bring that wave like this. Eventually, your mind gets strong enough where it doesn't teeter-totter anymore. Maybe a little bit. It's enough to handle. You're strong. You're in it to win it. Your body gets strong, you rise, and you get stronger and stronger. That's how it worked for me. Discipline. Let's talk about it. That's the third rule of loopology, is discipline. Yeah. Gotta have discipline. Study people. Sounds that like Aerial Boundaries by Michael Hedges is like a great album. I'll plug him. He's dead. He was I think he died drunk. I think he was alcoholic. I don't know. I'm not sure. But he died in a car crash, I believe it was. I don't know if it was because of alcohol. It could have been. I don't know the whole story. But he was a guitarist, and he played hammer-on. Bloop, 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 and he had a really interesting way of playing the guitar, which was, I don't know if he created it or where it started, but it was a methodology behind playing guitar that nobody had seen, and he was on MTV, dude. William Ackerman. Shout out to William Ackerman, right? He was his producer, right? He owns a studio called Imaginary Roads, or Road, I think it is. And it's out in like New Hampshire, I believe it is. Somewhere out there. Anyways, he produced Michael Hedges' album. I actually ended up being friends with him and had a conversation with him, called the studio, and was like, hey, So he hooked me up with a guy called Corin Nielsen, who is a Grammy Award mixing magician. His ears are so good, dude. And some of his stuff, as far as music goes, is great. You gotta check him out too as well. Corin Nielsen. Music has always been my life. I never wanted to learn how to play other people's music, though. There were certain parts of people's music that I liked that I wanted to learn how to play. But I never wanted to learn people's songs. It was always a waste of time for me. I looked at it as an instrument that you have to be disciplined with. You have to train your fingers. There's stretches that you should do before you play guitar. That's why I'm having trouble with it. I don't play like I used to. I don't. I just turned 44, right? I believe it's 44. I don't know. It doesn't matter. 43 or 44. I'll look it up. I don't really count my age anymore. I don't even know how old I am. Look at that. It's been so many years, of forgetting things. It's horrible. So, with that said, let's get back to the Loopology session. I just wanted to, check in and take a break from things and talk and let you know that you're not alone. If you suffer, guys, get some help. Please get some help. I beg you to get some help. Put yourself in the hospital if you need to get sober. Do it. It'll be the best place that you can recover. You'll have a bed, 3 meals a day, medications that'll help you tweak your mind so that you can get back to where you need to be mentally, physically. Gives you a chance to work out, read the Bible, you know, conversate with people, meditate, you know, and really grow. Take care of your mental health, your physical health too as well. You know, they're not going to give you a razor though. Don't ask for it. They'll have to watch you. That was the only part about being in a mental hospital I didn't like, is the fact that I had to shave my head. It was really bad, and I had to be watched. Luckily, it was a girl and not a guy. You know what I mean? To be like homosexual in the you know, the open bathroom, you know, that you can't hang yourself in. You know, there's a lot of things that go on, or safety checks that they got to do all the time. You know, they knock on the door in the middle of the night. Is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? You know, I'm good. I'm good. Leave me alone. You know, let me breathe. You know, but greatest person in my life, closest person in my life, who I love, yep, is crazier than me. Yep, crazier than hell, and I love her to death. Yep, and I'm not gonna tell you that story, but we're gonna go deeper into music and let you know that I'm crazy. I am. I have bipolar 1. I have ADHD. I have a auditory processing issue along with ADHD. Right? I'm not deaf. It has something to do with like an autistic mind, if you will, when it comes to hearing. That's why sometimes I can hear stronger than other people. Music is helped me sonically. That's why I have so much inflection in my voice when I talk. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff, dude, that I want to dive into with Loopology. It's a methodology, a method, it's going to be a science, guys, and I'm going to teach you the science. And I'm going to teach you why it helps. It's not music therapy. This isn't music therapy time. Don't come at me like that. Anyways, in other news, Jay, another cat from Celebrate Recovery, who goes to my church on Thursday nights. You guys gotta go. They cook some of the best meals. We have a sit down group, and you know, we get together, we talk about our stuff, and hopefully you get enough time to you know, get whatever you need off your chest and just support. You'll learn a lot. You'll be around a lot of people, homeless and not homeless. You'll be around a lot of people that need light, and I see it as a way to give back. You know, I want people in Celebrate Recovery at this church, right, to, you know, get in with Annabella and do a podcast. Because all she has to do, if you have a cell phone, right, is send you a link, and it goes on, and you can talk right on your phone, and it records the podcast. It's cool. It's really cool stuff. I was cool enough, though, because I used an interface and a microphone when I was talking into the podcast. We didn't do video. It was just a blank screen. She was on one side, I was on the other side. And we connected, you know, and talked about sobriety. You know, and it's a really good thing to know that you're not alone. So let my story be known when it comes out. I can't wait to tell you about my shit. Can't wait to tell you about my shit. Yep. Let me tell you about my darkness. I want it to come out. I want people to hear it. Did we get the dongle up? Is the dongle working? No. What phone do we got? We got this phone. The newer phone. I got 3 phones. We need 3 dongles. We're gonna record 3 different tracks at once. check. All right, so we're going to do a mix down real quick. I want to record something, though, a part of this track, okay? Let's try that again. Okay, so we got it. We got something. We got something. Ugh. Get to the chopper. You know, it's chopper. Where's my pen? I had a church pen that I stole. Hey, I didn't mean to steal it. It ended up in my bag. No, it didn't. I stole it. They have plenty of those pens. I wanted one. I was like, it's mine. I'm taking it. So I can think of my church all the time. Where did I put it? I lost 2 pens already, man. All right. Business expense. This is session notes, right? We need pens everywhere. All right. So signal flow. This is important. We started with the phone. Samsung A17. All right, arrow to the SRS XB 100s. Okay, to the SM58. Right? So we record. We grabbed the track I'd already had called Sinister. ? It was about the artifact in the album 9, where we didn't know whether you didn't know after hearing the narrative. You didn't know whether or not the artifact was evil or not. If it was, non confrontational, if it came to like destroy things, or it came to learn, it came to be heard. Does that make sense? So sound comes to be heard. It comes to be heard. It comes to your ears to be heard. Ooh, it travels in waves. Move over, bitch. I mean, I'm swearing a lot on this live stream. All right, so we got the SM58. Let's keep focus. SM58, right? Then, what did we do? We sampled it on the MPC 1 Plus. Then, right, the next part was from the MPC 1 Plus. To the MK2. No, the MK1. Right? Then to the MK2. Looped. That's where it stopped. Then it traveled into the Focusrite. Then, from the Focusrite interface, it went back into the MPC 1 Plus. on a new sample. Okay? So it went in twice. Okay? Now, what we've done, it then went in, okay, to the MK2. No, it went back through the MK1 into the MK2. One plus to the MK1. To the MK2. Right? MK1 to the MK2. Then, right, we just mixed it off of the MK2 to the Focusrite again. This is awesome. It went back into the same phone that it was, went from YouTube to a WAV file. Focusrite to the UETEDO dongle. Then the UTEDO dongle. To the Samsung A17. As a completely new track. During that time, though, right, we added drums. Okay? So we need to include the fact that the PSR was used and the Grace was used. So we need to do that to their signal chaining. But we did it at different points in the mix. Which makes this really complicated as far as signal flow goes. Yeah, the IRS agent's going to be like, dude, what did you do? Why did you do that? I'd be like, yeah, well, there's a reason why it went through the SM58. It funnels the sound, right, to a certain frequency response in the room, right? So it's made for that. It's made to capture vocals. It's made to capture everything around it. It's a dynamic microphone, and it's one of the best durable microphones that money can buy. So if you play bass through it, into it, using Bluetooth speakers, right? Or any speaker for that matter, right? It's not going to rattle. Its cage is real thick. It's real sturdy, like, you know what I mean? It gives you a interesting feel when you grip a microphone like this. You know, this is like the legitimate microphone that you want. You know, Shure has been trusted for years when it comes to micro. I don't know their whole story. Got to do it. Got to write a blog about them. Yeah. So let's play the track. We're gonna Remic it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing. Start the whole process over again. So it goes from the Samsung A17, track number 10, into the SRS XB100s, making a full, complete 2 loops around the circle. Changing the entire song, using pads, using the timing, using mixing, using new instrumentation, okay? New guitar lines. We changed the track melody line that was a piano to a guitar, an electric guitar that was distorted with distortion, the dirty signal. That's science, guys. Let's go. right, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get Ableton involved now. We're gonna turn this monitor speaker off because we don't need the feel of it. We need to record it. What was the tempo? 50.7. $50.7. Do you hear me? All right. Oh, no, 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 no. We're gonna get rid of ozone. Yeah. I figured out that mastering plugin, right? It fails on my computer. I don't know why. But we're gonna use the Good Hertz Wolf compressor. Whoa. Hello. Let's get rid of the noise. Turn the lo-fi up. Turn the compression up. I love that. All right, here we go. So we were live streaming that outside? No way. We gotta use two phones, guys. It's the only way. The butthole of my camera. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. All right. So let's play it. Check. Yeah, it plays it. not coming out of the, you're hearing it. Let me turn the speaker down. Huh. Yeah, you're only hearing it in the room. I know what we need to do. We need to get the track from Ableton, the WAV file, right? And put it on the phone. Then play it through the MPC One Plus's plugin on the other phone. Oh, we're getting super technical with it tonight. I want it in the monitor speaker, the final version of it, so I can really hear it. I mean, I was hearing it coming through, but like when it remics, it just puts it in the spectrum, so it shoves it all in there. And there's a graph that comes along with it. Can we do that? There we go. We can share it. Look at that. Okay. So I think it's on the live stream. Yeah, I think it is. All right. So from that one version to this version, we could take the file and make it a source. That's what we want to do. I'm going to put it in the live stream. Exporting audio now. It is 8:22 p.m. 8:23 p.m. We haven't done anything to it. This is just the fresh, straight up. Don't know what to call it either. Hey, I'm getting kind of close to you, guy. I don't know what time it was when we 5:43. There we go. Rendering. In it to win it, baby. Boom, 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 boom. Are we sharing our screen? Says we are. Oh, it's because it's behind the video capture. There we go. Hello. Woo, 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 woo. Rendering. There we are. There it is. And we're good. Check that desktop now. Let's shut this down. Volv compressor. We got the Volv on. Volfing. We can actually use the Volv compressor as a VS2 instrument. Or a VST. VST2 on the live stream. Yeah, we can make it sound really strange, guys. We could put noise in there. We could take it off. On. Off. On. Off. On. I don't know if it actually is doing anything. Dark mode. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's taking it, but where is it putting it? Full Volv. FX. We want max distortion. Default. You can make a URL. That's weird. All right. Check. Check. Check, 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 check. Compressing. I just shut it down. Okay. Where did we put it? We put it Loopology Session. There it is. gdotbennettmusic. Now you're hearing it. Yep. Wow. Sinister remix. It's so awesome. It's so good, dude. Yes. Yes. And it's making my feet feel good. Did that, dude. You guys have no idea how scientific that is. Alright, we're gonna put Swag Monster in there. He's an emote. So we need to take a screenshot, guys, of this track. All right, now we're going to send it to my phone. Damn. We just did that there, dude. That was epic. All right, so now we need to track another part of this. The bass line, this. I want it to sound perfect. But because the microphone is capturing the room sound and it continuously captures the room sound, when the microphone's on, you hear just a tiny bit of it. Okay. I like it. I think that's a good hook. You know, having the like a TV on in the background. Because that's what it sounds like. Because of the microphone being on the bed and the monitor underneath, you hear what it sounds like in the room. Because the instrument's being played. The looper captures the what's on the microphone. So different, isn't it? You know, one sounds more muddy, right? More bassy. The other one doesn't. So I bet you, if I recorded this directly and then mixed both of them together, oh my God, there would be some serious shit going on. What's going on here? What is going on here? Check. Check. Do, 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 do. Oh, it's muted. Duh. Let it go, and we captured it, but that was the original sample. Now we want to play a new song for you. It's called Superhero. What'd you think? You didn't like that? Yeah. Alright. So we premiered midstream for 3 hours. We gotta get off of here.